I've been on self-improvement for a little over a year now, and during that time, I feel like I've learned a lot of lessons that can be helpful to somebody that's just now getting started on self-improvement. So with that being said, in this video, I'm gonna be answering 3 common questions that people ask me about self-improvement. I highly recommend you watch to the end because the last tip is probably the most important one, but you gotta understand the first 2 in order to get the most out of it. Now, the first common question that people ask about self-improvement is very simple, which is, what advice would you give to someone that's about to start a self-improvement journey? The very first thing I would tell you if you're just getting started on self-improvement is make sure you have a vision for what you want to accomplish and goals to help you get there. Because the thing about self-improvement is that there isn't one right way to do it. I know for me personally, when I first started self-improvement, I was watching a lot of YouTube videos about it, just like you are right now. And the thing about that is, while everybody does give good advice, some people have different philosophies than others. And so one person might be saying, oh, well, you should do things this way. Another person should be saying, well, you should do things this way. And eventually you end up kind of like a chicken with your head cut off. You don't really know which way to go. You will always be thinking that you're doing something wrong because this person says you shouldn't do that, or that this option is better, or whatever the case may be. So the good thing about having a vision is that when you do get knocked off track, it's easy to correct yourself. Think of it like a GPS. And let's say you put in some kind of destination that you ain't never been to before, so you really don't know where you're going. But as long as you have that GPS on, which in this case for your self-improvement, that'll be as long as you have your vision, then once you make a wrong turn, it'll automatically correct you and say, hey, hold on, you need to be going that way, you feel me? So when you have that vision, it's the same thing. And then the importance of having goals is just because you have specific checkpoints and you just kind of keep stepping based on these goals that you have set. That's going to help you get to your vision. And another piece of advice I would give to somebody that's just getting started with self-improvement is to take advantage of that initial motivation. Because one thing for certain is you ain't gonna always be as motivated as you are right now in the beginning. That motivation is gonna wither away. So with that being said, while you have this initial motivation that you get in the beginning, you need to be making as much progress as you possibly can. If you're going on a diet, stick to that diet as strict as you possibly can. Lose as much weight as you possibly can in the first couple weeks, because when that motivation go away, if you've been slacking and then you start going backwards on your habits and all of that, you'll end up right back where you started. But if you really take advantage of that initial motivation and you make significant progress, then let's say you go backwards a little bit, it's like you're not going to be where you started. You're still going to be further ahead. So make sure you keep that in mind. Now, another common question somebody would ask me if they just getting started on self-improvement is, what mistakes have you made that I should avoid? And I would say the biggest mistake that I made is most definitely expecting fast results. And I'm going to just go ahead and admit that the reason I was expecting them fast results is because I was seeing the results that other people was getting and posting on social media. And so more than likely, if you're seeing that and you're seeing this person like, I got these results, I accomplished this in 35 days and all of that, you're going to be thinking, all right, well, all I got to do is just stick with this for 35 days and I'm going to be where I'm trying to get to. But the reality of the situation is, man, anything that's worth having, it's going to take you a minute. You see what I'm saying? You ain't going to just get no overnight results. And what that person is not telling you about whatever they saying that they accomplished in 35 days is that it's probably was years of learning before that, or they had some very good training. It's something else that they're not telling you. It ain't just never that easy. But the problem with expecting them fast results is that when you don't achieve them, all of a sudden you start to think that maybe you just ain't good enough to make it happen, or you start having all these type of negative thoughts, limiting beliefs start popping up, and then a lot of people end up quitting. But the problem is, it was never realistic for you to get them fast results in the first place. So if you just go into your self-improvement journey already knowing that this is going to take a minute for me to get where I need to be, then it should be a little easier for you to be patient and keep putting that work in. But with that being said though, another mistake that I made that it took me a minute to really correct is thinking that self-improvement is only temporary. A lot of people seem to have this idea that you go on self-improvement so that you can make yourself better and achieve whatever it is that you're trying to achieve. And then once you get to that point, it's like you can just relax and go back to all your old habits, not realizing that if you do that, it's going to be hard to break those habits again when you need to break them again. It might be a little easier because you done did it before, but for the most part, if you do that, you're just gonna go backwards. You see it all the time where people will lose weight and then they put all the weight back on. And that's because they didn't fully realize that they have to stick with these new habits for the rest of their life. Now, that don't mean that you have to be 100% perfectly strict, and if you go on a diet that you can never eat no junk food or anything like that. Theoretically, we probably shouldn't be eating no junk food at all, but we are humans and we are used to that type of stuff because it's been in our diet all our life. So yeah, if you on a diet, you can have a good Thanksgiving dinner, or you could go on a date or something like that and enjoy yourself. Or even if you just at home and you just want a little snack, that's cool, but it gotta be in moderation. And that applies to any habit that you are starting on your self-improvement journey, whether it's journaling, whether it's working out, eating right, anything. You need to understand that this really is a lifestyle change that you're making. So if you're thinking you finna just do it temporarily and then just go back to whatever, that's like you on crack and you stop smoking crack, finna sober up, but then once you sober up, you're like, okay, now I can go back to doing the drugs. Like, what was the point? You didn't really accomplish nothing. You see what I'm saying? Understand, self-improvement is not temporary. It's a lifestyle change and you need to be committed to it. Now, the third common question that people ask about self-improvement is, how can I get the most out of my self-improvement journey? Number one, numero uno, first thing first, the absolute very first thing you need to do to get the most out of your self-improvement journey is get rid of all the distractions. Yes, I'm talking about social media. Yes, I'm talking about video games. Yes, I'm talking about that cell phone. Get rid of all of these distractions. Now, am I saying you should never ever be on social media? Am I saying that you should never be on your cell phone? Am I saying that you should never play video games? No, I'm not saying any of that at all. But what I am saying is, right now, you probably should go cold turkey, because all of those things are the things that's been stopping you from being on self-improvement in the first place. The reason you have all of these bad habits and all of this other stuff is because of these things. Junk food, social media, video games, all of these things that just distract you but don't add no real value to your life. I'm gonna be 100 with you. Even this video, like, if you supposed to be working towards something, you shouldn't be watching a bunch of videos like this, man, because you get into that mode where you keep consuming and consuming and consuming and you never actually take action. You see what I'm saying? So the distractions gotta go. I recommend, if you are on your phone all the time, set screen time limits so that you can only be on it for so much time. If you playing video games, listen, unplug the game, put it somewhere and put it up somewhere. Come back to it down the line when you are actually disciplined enough to stay on your habits. But in the meantime, listen, we can talk all day about why this stuff is bad, but you already know good and well that these distractions are stopping you from progressing in whatever area you're trying to progress in your life. And so if you really want to lock in, you got to just get rid of them for a little bit so you don't even have that temptation. And then once you develop consistent habits and you know for sure that you can maintain this self-improvement lifestyle, then you can start back to add these things back into your life. But adding to that, if you want to get the most out of your self-improvement journey, you have to be disciplined, because even if you remove the distractions, ain't nothing stopping you from going back to wherever they are. If you unplug the video game and tuck it away in some other room in the house or in the back of a closet, you still know it's back there. So ain't nothing stopping you from going in that closet and taking the game out and plugging it up and playing the game. You see what I'm saying? If you put the screen time limits on your phone, you can easily just ignore the limit and keep going. You can remove junk food from your house, but then you can just go right to the store and buy some more. So at the end of the day, all of these limitations that you put in place to stop yourself from all these distractions and things that's not good for you, it only goes so far, because you got to respect them. You got to respect the boundaries that you set on yourself, which means you absolutely have to stay discipline. And the best thing you could do to help yourself stay disciplined is to remember why you got on self-improvement in the first place. If that's something that you haven't got clear on, then I highly encourage you, get a piece of paper, get something to write with, or you can even type in your phone, why are you doing this? But you should have done this already, because that goes back to the vision that I talked about in the very first question that I answered. But if you haven't done that, man, take some time, write out why. Why? And then when you get into that rut and you lose that motivation and you notice yourself slacking on your discipline, then you got to come back and revisit that and remember why you're doing this. Because That's what's going to keep you going. At the end of the day, when you having them cravings for that junk food that you know you don't need, and you getting that urge to pull out your phone and scroll on social media, or you really, really want to play the video game, them feelings is going to be strong. And at the end of the day, if you so consumed in that, and you so consumed in your current experience and what's going on right now, you can lose sight of the bigger picture, which is not here yet. And so you will tell yourself, oh, this one little time won't hurt. And then you're going to say that same thing the next time and the same thing the time after that, until eventually you're not even on self-improvement no more. You're just stuck in the same old habits. But when you remember, I got a son that's looking up to me, I'm trying to help my mama and my daddy not have to work for the rest of their life. When you remember, I'm trying to help my parents pay their credit off. When you remember, I'm trying to pay my own credit off. When you remember, I ain't trying to have to work a 9 to 5 until I'm 65. You remember, I want to be my own boss. You remember, I want to like what I see. Pause when I look in the mirror. When you remember, I want to be that dude that walk into the room and everybody looking at my muscles. Whatever your why is, you know your reasons, man. But when you remember that, then what is a piece of candy gonna do? A piece of candy ain't gonna get you to that point. So now that craving becomes unimportant. It can't have no effect on you because your mind is focused on something way better than any of that. And I promise you, when you stick to it, the end result is well worth it. But with all that being said, I make videos like this all the time. So if you want to see more content like this, subscribe to my channel and turn on post notifications so you get notified when I upload. I upload every single week. So I got plenty of content coming for you. Most importantly, like this video if you like this video. And if you like this video, you'll also like that video. I'll holler at y'all next time. Peace.